Welcome to Brainish English Stories.
We were looking for Laura's dressmaker and had just rung the doorbell when a little boy came to the door. He stood on the lower step, looking up with sad blue eyes. He held a small tin cup in his dirty hand. A big basket was on one of his arms, and around his neck was a large sign like the ones blind men wear when they beg on the street. Laura always had more money than me, and she was taking out some money from her purse while I looked at the sign on the boy's chest. Could I have read it right? I looked again. No, I wasn't wrong. The sign said, in big letters, "I have lost my husband in the war." In the war. But the boy's blue eyes looked too young to have seen the war. His husband? I was confused. I looked at him seriously and asked him in a firm voice, "Young man, can you read?" Laura was still ringing the doorbell. The boy looked like he wanted to run away, but I put my hand on his arm. "Can you read?" I asked again, very seriously. He shook in his old, worn-out shoes, and his voice trembled when he answered. "Not much. Not much, I see. Do you know what the sign around your neck says?" "Does it say I'm blind?" he asked, with a little scared voice. "No, it says, but do you know what a husband is?" "Yes, he comes home drunk and hits Mag and me very badly." "Did you ever know a boy like you to have a husband?" The boy's blue eyes opened so wide that I wondered if they could close again. Laura turned around at my question, looking like she thought I had gone crazy. The little dressmaker had opened the door and was waiting quietly, holding the handle. But I didn't care about that. I asked again, very slowly, "Did you ever know a boy like you to have a husband?" "No, ma'am," he said quickly. "Husbands are for women." "Then why are you wearing this sign? It says you lost your husband in the war." The boy turned pale, and I almost felt sorry for him. "Will they put me in prison?" he asked, his voice sounding sad. "Will they? Did you steal the sign?" "I didn't steal it exactly. I just took it. I saw other people wearing signs like this when they went out begging, and this one was old Meg's. She wasn't going out today, so I thought it was okay to borrow it." "So, you can't really read?" "Well, I can read a little, ma'am. I think I can understand a word here and there. Do you want to learn?" For a moment, his face lit up, and with his smiling lips and bright eyes, he looked like a handsome boy. "Oh, if only I could," he said softly, but then the smile faded and he looked sad again. "It's no use, ma'am. She won't let me." "Who won't let you?" "Your mother." "No, Mag's mother, old Meg. My mother is dead, and I never knew my father. Since my mother died, old Meg takes care of me. Every day, she sends me out to beg. If I don't get enough money, she hits Mag." I was becoming very interested. "Hits Mag because you don't get enough money?" I asked, not sure if I understood. "Why?" "Well, ma'am, there's a hard spot on me. She found that hitting me didn't hurt much. So, one night, when Mag asked her to stop, she turned and hit Mag. That made me cry a lot. Ever since then, if I don't get enough money, she hits Mag." "Are you sure you're telling me the truth?" I don't know why I asked, because I could see honesty in his clear eyes. He looked hurt. "Yes, you might laugh, but I'm telling you the truth. He looked as hurt as you would if someone doubted you." He grabbed the sign around his neck like he wanted to tear it off and said sadly, "I guess nobody will believe me with the sign around my neck. But if you come home with me, Mag will tell you and you'll believe her." By this time, Laura had gone inside, leaving me alone with the boy. I thought for a moment. The other day, I heard Tom say he needed a boy to run errands. Why couldn't this boy do it? Tom was my brother. I knew he would have many reasons to say no. He would say the boy is a street beggar, and he can't be trusted. But I knew I could change Tom's mind. Women have that power when men love them, whether they are husbands, brothers, or friends. I hated to see poverty and ignorance. What if I could save just one small boy from this life? I said firmly, "Will you come home with me? You will have a nice home, good food, honest work, and no one will ever hit you. You will also learn to read," I said. The boy didn't look sure at first, but when I said the part about learning to read, he asked curiously, "Who will teach me?" "I can't go to school and do my work too." "I will teach you," I replied. "Will you go and work hard for my brother and learn to read?" "Won't I just," he said with excitement. "Well then, let me talk to the lady who went inside, and I'll take you home right now." But he shifted nervously. "If you please, ma'am, I can't go until I've been back to Meg's and returned the sign." "But I'll ask a policeman to send someone with the sign," I said. "If you go back to Meg, she might not let you come with me." "Yes, ma'am, I'll come." "But you wouldn't believe me, would you, if I just ran away without saying goodbye to Mag? She'd cry her eyes out thinking I was in prison or someone had killed me." His big blue eyes looked sad again, thinking of this. "Well, you may go," I said, half reluctantly, because I had become very interested in the little boy. "But be sure you come tonight or tomorrow morning to 70 Derham Street and ask for Miss May." He looked at me seriously and said, "I will come." Then, in a moment, he was gone. That night after dinner, I told Tom about the boy. He was doubtful, mocking, and didn't believe me, just like I knew he would be. But in the end, he promised to give my vagrant a try if the boy ever came. Just as I convinced him, the doorbell rang. I ran to the dining room door. The dining room was in the front basement, and the outside door was so close that I opened it myself. It was the boy. "I want Miss May," he said, speaking to me like I was a servant. But when he heard my voice, his manner changed and became respectful. I brought him in to see Tom. I saw how the boy's blue eyes softened even Tom's tough mind and heart. Tom spoke kindly to him, then sent him to the kitchen for supper. "Where do you plan to keep this new boy?" Tom asked after the boy left. "In this house," I answered. "There's a small bed ready for him in the attic. The cook will give him a bath and some clothes her own son left behind when he went to sea. I want to save this boy from a life of misery and bad choices, and I'm willing to work hard for it. If you're not willing to help, I'll be ashamed of you." Tom laughed and called me his fierce little woman, his angry dove, and other names he only used when he was in a good mood. So I knew everything would be fine. Within 3 days, Tom admitted that my vagrant, as he still called the boy, even though we now knew his name was Johnny True, was the best errand boy he'd ever had. As I had promised, I taught him how to read. He was the brightest student I ever had. In just 4 months, he could read almost anything. There was a kind of eager excitement in his desire to learn, and I didn't understand why. Sometimes, after I came home from a party or the opera, I would find him studying in the kitchen, even at midnight. We all grew fond of him. The cook said he was no trouble at all and made her feel like she had her own son back. He served Tom with a loyal dedication, like a dog. As for me, I think he would have done anything for me. But one morning, he got up and walked out of the house. When his breakfast was ready, the cook called him, but he didn't come. She looked for him everywhere, from the attic to the basement, but he was gone. Before Tom left for work, another boy came. This boy was a little older than Johnny, and he looked nice and respectable. He asked for Mr. May and came into the dining room, holding his cap in his hand. "If you please, sir," he said shyly, "Johnny True wants to know if you'll take me to work in his place. He won't be coming back, and I've done errand work before. I have good references." The boy spoke so fast, he didn't even stop between sentences. Tom looked at him slowly and lit a cigar. "Johnny isn't coming back?" Tom asked. "No, sir," the boy answered. "Where did Johnny go?" "He didn't tell me, but he said he would feel very bad if you were upset about losing him. He also said that I can do the job just as well as he did." I could see that Tom was going to say no, so I quickly spoke up before he could. "Please take him," I said quietly to Tom. Then I told the boy, "Go to the store now, and Mr. May will see you later." Tom laughed, half amused, half annoyed, as the boy left. "Well, dear, I don't think your vagrant was such a success that you should let him choose my next errand boy. I think that if this new boy is as good as Johnny, you won't have any complaints," I replied angrily. But deep down, I was sad. I thought Johnny cared too much about me to leave like that. That night, Tom said the new boy was doing well, and he would keep him. I think Tom missed Johnny, but not as much as I missed my smart little student, my grateful little friend. The new boy lived at home, wherever that was. I didn't care much about him or think about giving him the bed in the attic. 2 or 3 weeks passed, and we didn't hear anything from Johnny. But then, on a rainy day, Johnny came back and asked for Miss May. "I guess he feels sorry," Cook said as she came upstairs to tell me. I went downstairs, ready to be strict with Johnny. I wanted to show him how serious I was about him running away. But when I saw the sad look in his blue eyes, I couldn't be angry. He looked thin and pale, and my heart softened before he even spoke. "I couldn't stay away, ma'am," he said in the clear way he had learned from my lessons, "and not tell you why I left." "Telling me when you were leaving would have been better," I answered, trying to sound stern. "I thought better of you, Johnny. I didn't think you would run away. But I was afraid you wouldn't let me go if I told you," he said. "Why did you want to go? Weren't you comfortable here?" "Yes, ma'am, that was the problem." "How is that a problem? Don't you like being comfortable?" Suddenly, his blue eyes filled with tears, and his voice shook as he said, "It hurt me so much, being warm, having good food, and everyone being kind, while Mag was at home, cold and hungry, with old Meg beating her. I would never have come here and left her, except to learn how to read. Mag wanted me to come for that." "So you could read to her?" "No, ma'am, so I could teach her to read." "You've never seen anyone who wanted to learn to read as much as Mag. When I went home that first day and told her all about you and everything you said, I told her I couldn't stay here and leave her behind to suffer. She cried and begged me to go learn to read so I could teach her. I couldn't stand it anymore, so I came." "But how did she know you would come back?" I asked. "You could have stayed here, enjoying the comfort." "Mag knew me, ma'am," Johnny said proudly, as if his honor was being questioned. "Mag knew who I was. I learned as fast as I could so I could come back to her." "Don't you think so, ma'am?" "You learned faster than anyone else, I know that," I replied. "But, Johnny, How could you go back to begging? I couldn't, ma'am, and I didn't. I had enough money from Mr. Tom to buy some newspapers. I'm a newsboy now, and I teach Mag to read using the leftover newspapers. And old Meg doesn't beat Mag anymore. We're so much happier now, thanks to you. I came back to thank you, but I could never leave Mag for long. I must stay with her. But Mag isn't really your family. She is to me, ma'am. Johnny was determined to stay with Mag, just like a hero willing to live or die for their country. As I watched him walk away in the rain down the empty street, I knew he was leaving me forever. But I didn't feel sorry for him. Any person who learns to love someone else more than themselves has found life's greatest good. I don't know any rich person who seems happier than Johnny was that day.